Jai Jinendra, Namaste and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to solve the 73rd question of the problem solving series and the 11th question of the topic string. The difficulty level for this question is medium and this question has been asked in Microsoft, Amazon, Adobe, PayPal, Meta and Google. In fact, this question was asked to me in Microsoft one and a half years before. Okay, and I was able to solve this question. In the first interview, this question was asked to me. So count and say. Okay, so we are given an integer number and here in this function it's defined in the question that uh, so here n is equal to 3. So the count and say function, say this is the function, so if it's given that for n is equal to 1, the answer for this count and say is 1, and for count and say for any other number n, the answer for this is whatever the answer for count and say n minus 1 is there, that would be the input for count and say n. Okay, I think you have not understood this. So this is like something like this is actually count and say of n minus 1 would be count and say of n minus 1. Okay, so let's understand this. So n is equal to 1 is given, so for count and say for 1 it's equal to 1, and for count and say n is equal to 2, like the number it's a count and say. So when n is equal to 2, that means the count and say of n is equal to 1, whatever the value was there, we will have the same value for this. Like for 1 it is 1, right? So we will be counting how many ones are there. There is one. Okay. So since there is one, so we will count the number of digit in this one. So this for this answer is 1, right? So for this one, count and say 1. So since there is one, so this count is 1, and what is the digit? 1. So it would be 11, right? 1. So count and say 2 is 1. Now when we do count and say 3, then count and say 3 would be actually count and say of n equal to 2. Okay, so this count and say of 2. So for this count and say of 2, our answer is 1. So we do 1. Okay, and when 1 is given here, so how many ones are there? 2 ones are there, right? 1, 2 ones. And what is the digit that we are checking? 1. So the answer would be 2, 1 for count and say 3. So first we count and the digit, number of occurrence of the digit, and then we say that digit and we append it. Okay. So you'll understand. So for this count and say n is equal to 3, our answer is 2, 1. So we'll return string 2, 1 for this. Okay, now n is equal to 4. Okay, so for n is equal to 4, what would be the n is equal to 4 this thing? So for this, the input would be of count and say 3. Okay, so what is the value for count and say 3? For count and say 3, we got the value as 2, 1, right? 2, 1. We will count this. Okay, it's actually count. We'll count this 2, 1 thing. Not count and say, count actually, because it counts this value. Okay, so you can say count here. Count and say is actually count of count and say n minus 1. So there will be a count function that will define which will count this 2, 1. So here in this 2, 1, how many? So first we get 2. How many 2? Are there any more 2? No, there is no more 2. So how many 2 is there? There is 1, 2. So 1. And what is the digit? 2. So 1, 2. Then comes 1. How many 1 is there? Only 1 is there. So there will be 1. And what is the digit? 1. So 1, 2, 1 would be the answer. Probably count and say n is equal to 5 will help to understand what we are doing here actually. Okay? So count on and say n is equal to 5 would be actually count and say of this count and say 5 minus 1, that is 4. And what is the value of this 4? 1, 2, 1, 1. Okay. Now in this 1, 2, 1, 1, how many 1 is there in the beginning? 1 is there. So 1 and the next, the digit is 1. Okay, 1. Now, how many 2 is there? There is 1, 2. So 1, 2 and what is the digit? 2. And now we have 1, 1. So how many 1 is there together? There are 2 1s. And what is the digit that we are checking? 1. So the answer would be 1, 1, 2, 2, 1. Okay. So I'll write it here again. So what this tells, it's given in the question that count and say, probably I'll write here and then I'll graph. It's given in the question that count and say of 1 is actually 1. Okay. When 1 is given, you need to return 1. And count and say of any digit n would be actually count and say n minus 1. And this count function logic is you need to count the digit. So for example, n equal to 6 when it is given, when this count and say of n equal to 6 will be count and say n minus 1 5. So this will come here. So we see 1. So total number of 1 is 3 1. So first we will give 3 and what we are checking 1. So it would be 1. Then we get 2. So how many 2 are there? There are 2 2s. And what is 2? 2 is 2. So 2. And then how many 1 is there? Is 1 1. First count and then say what is the number. So 3 1 2 1 1. This will be for n equal to 6. Okay. So you need to implement this function. Okay, you need to code this. So let's just whatever we have discussed, we need to code it. How we will code it? So what we have done, so we know. Let's directly code here. We know that we need to return the answer string. Okay. And string, say we define it as result. Okay. And we define it as 1. Okay. And if n is equal to 1, equal to 1, then what do? We will return 1 res. Okay. Else what we will do? If n is not equal to 2, then we will return count of n minus 1. Okay. Fine. And now count of n minus 1 will define string count of n minus 1. Okay. Now what we need to do here, count of n minus 1 is given, right? So you can just actually give it as actually it should not be n minus 1, right? It is a string that we have given, right? It is a string. So when it is a string, so we will pass, okay, so it is a string, here one by one we are going, right? So what we need to do, we can't do like this. What we'll do, if n is equal to 1, it's fine. Otherwise, we need to pass the string. We don't need to pass the number. Okay, we need to go one by one. From 1 we go to 2, 2 we go to 3, 3 we go to 4. So what we'll do, if n is equal to 1, return this. Otherwise, for I equal to 2, I is less than equal to n. Okay, and I plus plus. So here res will be equal to count of res, right? So this 1 will be going here, the string 1, and then this 1 will count this value. Here we have counted this 1's value. Okay, count this 1, this is 1 1. Okay, so this 1 1 will be counted and this will be returned to the result. When we say this, then again it will go to 3. So when for the count and say of 3, we will count the result, the 2 value, this 1 1. So this 1 1 what we have got here result, this will go again here and this will count it, and it will return 2 1. So for n equal to 3, 2 1 would be returned because I is less, n is 3. But if n was 4 and I is 3, so again this 2 1 will go to this count and this will give us the result, and we'll get the result and we'll see, okay, now I has increased to 4 and we have our result, so we will return result. Okay, so this is done. Now we will define this logic how we are counting in the function string count. Okay, string count. Okay, since we will not have the place, so let me so this part you have understood. Okay, up to here. So now I will code this string count function again. Okay, string count, where we have the string as result. Okay, fine. Now we will have now what do we do? So we check here, right? Say for example of, let's take the example of n equal to 5. So for this input would go, because the 4 input would be going to the count. Okay, this 1 2 1 1. Okay, and we, what is the thing we are doing? We are checking the digit, whatever the digit is there. So here this is this character. If this character gets repeated, that means if this value and this value are equal, we are increasing the count. Okay, if it is not equal, then we have our count is equal to 1. So initially, if the digit is whatever digit will be there, so its count will be obviously equal to 1, right? First thing to note. Okay, then we have our okay, yeah, this is the thing. Then secondly, we will have our string stored in the answer as result. Anything you can, any variable you can take. String result here, I am taking, say, string answer. Okay, let's take string answer to make it little. Okay, this is string result with us, right? So no problem, nothing. So here we have our answer as this. So what we do, we traverse for I equal to 0, I less than res dot size. Okay, and I plus plus. Let's traverse the string. Okay, and at the end we will return the answer. Okay, fine. Now here in this case we are counting the value, right? So if we see that also when we are counting it, we don't want, so we are checking this value and this value. So if I is less than res dot size, okay, and res of I is equal to res I plus 1. Okay, if this is the condition, if this and this next value is equal, so what we need to do, we need to increase the count value. Count would increase. Okay, that is the thing. But till how much? There could be 1 1 1 1 1. So there has to be double loop, right? So instead of doing this for I equal to this thing, let's put this condition and then let's get into the loop, right? While loop. If I do that, then here in this for loop condition, again I need to check it, right? So let it be like this, fine, no problem. And here, if this is the condition, so you'll understand it while I say. So if this is the condition, and then again I inside the loop I check. Okay, so first I got this condition, till what time this condition is valid? While I less than res dot size. Okay, we will do -1. Why? Because we don't want it to go to the end. Because if it is going to the end, if this is the last number, like 1 1 to 1 1, we have reached this first one, second one, 2 1s are there, but after this I can't go here. So I plus 1, this will give us a there won't be there will be an error. We don't have any number here, right? Index would be out of error. So we should give it as -1, res dot size -1, and res I equal to res I plus 1. Okay, if this is the condition, then what do? We will increase the value of count. Fine. And then we will also increase the value of I and keep on checking till what time this is there. So once this condition will fail, okay, while condition will go away, then what we'll have? We will have the value as answer, and we will append. Answer is actually empty, right? Answer is an empty string. So answer plus would be count, to string of, we convert this count into string, okay, and what we'll do, we'll convert this count into string, and then we will add res of, since I, when this loop will be over, like 1 then 2 comes, right? So I is actually, this I actually is not equal to I plus 1, right? So that means this is here, okay? So we have to give, so res count of this plus res of actually I also won't be a problem, because this is here only, so this will not cross here, right? So that is okay. So we can give it as I, no problem, okay? Yeah. So we have added this res I. Answer, we have covered the answer. The count is increased, and then we'll make the value of count equal to 1 for the next number, right? So this is little bit tricky. So once you understand, you'll get it. So this is done, right? If condition is done. And then again I will increase, and again it will check for, say for example 2. Okay, for 2, 1, 2 was not equal. Okay, here in this case, either the numbers are equal or it is not equal. So there is a if case, and then there is a else case. Okay, so we will add else. Else what is there? If else this size is less than, of course the size has to be less than, right? Otherwise this loop will itself fall, right? So else we can go directly. This is not equal to this. When this is not equal to this, then what do we need to do? We need to append answer plus equal to the value of there will be one value only, right? So that is actually no problem. We can give 2 string count because count is 1 only, and then actually we can add res of I directly. Okay, so this res I will be added here. Okay, and this for loop gets over here. Okay, and we return the answer. So how it actually, like while I was explaining, I was also thinking about the code, because I don't memorize the code, right? You don't need to memorize the code. Okay, so, and I teach the video in one stretch. Okay, so I also solve the question after reading it. So what we need to do here, yeah, let's do a code dry run, and then we'll do a code walkthrough. So let's dry run for this example. Okay, 1 2 1 1. When 1 2 1 1 has come, for count and say 5, we have this count of 1 2 1 1. Okay, now 1 2 1 1 is the string that is there with us, and 1 2 1 1 goes through this function. So I is equal to 0, I is equal to less than res dot size minus 1. Okay, this condition here, that means I is less than, what is the size of this result? 4. So I is less than 3. And is res I equal to res I plus 1? 1 is not equal to 2. Right? The characters are different. So this will not fall in this if case. It will go to the else case. So in the else case, in the answer, we will append string count. The count value is 1 because there is only one, and we append the result I value. So we have in our answer, we have 1 1. Okay, because there is 1 1. Now 2 comes, similarly it would be 1 2. It will come here because 2 is not equal to 1, right? Now when 1 went here, okay, after 2 1 went here. Okay, so the value of I is 2 here. Okay, 0 1 2, and 2 is less than 3, and res of 2 is equal to res of 3, right? Res of 2 is equal to res of 3. So this condition comes. Here also it is satisfied. So count value increased from 1 to 2, and I value also increased from 2 to 3. Okay, so when I value increased from 2 to 3 and it went to this condition. Okay, now the size of this is 4. Okay, and now 4 minus 1 3, so 3 3, they are equal, they are 3 is not less than 3, so it will come out of the loop here. Okay, and when it came out of the loop, we will append answers value to 2 string of count. So count value is 2 and the result I value is result of I is 1, so 1 would come. So this is done. Now it goes here and we see that the I value becomes 4 and it crosses the size, so we return 1 1 2 2 1. Okay, I think the explanation is clear. Please try this question yourself. The link to the question is given in the description, and then please see the code walkthrough section of my video. Here is the code walkthrough of the 73rd question, count and say, in the LeetCode platform. So I've already explained this question. Count and say is the run length encoding of count and say n minus 1, right? So run length encoding I have defined as its function count. Okay, so here's the question, string count and say. Firstly, I'll show you. This question is one of the important and mostly asked question in different companies. You can see this companies that it has been asked recently within 3 and 6 months. All this company, Yahoo, PayPal, Walmart, Microsoft. In fact, it was asked to me in Microsoft. Okay, so let's see. We have the same thing. We have the string str as 1. If n is equal to 1, we return string. Otherwise, we run this loop where we get the string is equal to count of string itself, and once this I reaches n, we return the string. Okay, here is the conditions what I have defined here, like string count. We have count equal to 1 result. We run this loop. We check the size is less than minus 1, and if string I is equal to I plus 1, then we run this condition count plus plus I plus plus. We convert this, we make count equal to 1, and we make the else condition. As simple as that. And once this is over, we return the string. Okay, so every time we go string for 2, we have this count of 2, count of 3, count of 4, whatever we want. For n, we get the answers here, string of count every time, and then we return it. So what would be the time complexity actually for this? So this is I equal to n, so here this order of n, and this string of count, this will be also order of n. Okay, this condition, so n into n would be n square. So the time complexity will definitely be n square, and the space complexity is order of 1 only. We have not taken any array or any other thing or map anything. Okay, so yeah, let's submit this. Okay, fine. Okay, then see you also in the next video where I'll be explaining the 74th question of the problem solving series. Jai Jayendra.